Hey, so many people I know are going through hard times right now, so many Christians, as well as us. And I want to give you some insight that the Lord brought to my attention again. Hebrews in the Hall of Faith, after it goes through the list of faith and how people conquered kingdoms by faith and performed acts of righteousness and obtained promises and shut the mouths of lions. In Hebrews 11:36 through 38, we have the others. Others, by their faith, they're still by their faith, experienced mockings, scourgings, chains, and imprisonment. They were stoned, sawn in two, tempted, put to death by the sword, went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, and ill-treated. Men of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves and holes in the ground. And then it commends their faith. So many times, people close to God experience really, really hard times and trials. Let me share with you some notes that I read, and I wish I had all these memorized, but you'll see why I don't shortly. It's a high cost of following God's call. And the book of Ezekiel is a really good place to start. First of all, the blood was required at his hand, Ezekiel's hand, if he misinformed people of God's message. And that's in Ezekiel 3. He was bound in ropes in Ezekiel 3. Ezekiel was made mute for 16 years unless God told him to speak. That's in Ezekiel 3 and also Ezekiel 24. Remember, he bore Israel's iniquity by lying on his side for 390 days on one side and 40 days on the other side. He only ate Ezekiel bread and ropes, cooked over human dung. Actually, I think the Lord let him use cow dung after he said, Lord, I've never eaten anything unclean. Ezekiel had to shave his head and beard and scatter it. And that was humiliating for them at that time. He had to cover his face so he could not see Israel. Then God kills Ezekiel's wife, and Ezekiel's not even allowed to mourn, y'all. He's not even allowed to mourn. Then we look at Moses. First, Moses was hidden from Pharaoh as a baby. He was raised by someone other than his mom. He was married and kept the flock for his father-in-law, and then when God called Moses to lead his family, to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, God called Moses to exercise himself in areas that Moses felt he was deficient in. Remember, Moses said, but Lord, I can't speak, send my brother Aaron. So Moses is following God's command, right? And it's getting worse for him. It's not getting better. He follows him and tells these things to Pharaoh, and things get worse for him in the short run. Then he had to deal with the Israelites for 40 years in the wilderness, these people that complain and gripe and are ready to stone him at time. For 40 years, even though Moses didn't do anything wrong, he had to eat manna for 40 years, along with the Israelites. 40 years of the same thing. And then, remember when he smote the stone instead of speaking to it? Because of this one sin, he was not able to enter the promised land, which tells us the accountability and the high call of being a leader. But we've got this high cost of following God's call. And sometimes the people that are closest to the Lord, sometimes they pay the highest price. So for my brothers and sisters out there that are going through trials, know this, that God works it all for our good. 1 Peter chapter 1, these trials work in us. Faith is more precious than gold. God bless y'all, and remember to savor your Savior.